across all platforms. We're back here for season 2. I'm so excited to get this new season started. Total disclosure for anyone who doesn't know, we explore the mysteries of the unknown, from sightings to conspiracy theories, occurrences in our skies. It's all fair game, and something that we really enjoy building a community around. Last season, we ended with an interview with Mr. Daniel Sheehan, and it was such a phenomenal year of guests, and I figured that I wanted to come out pretty strong for season 2, and that's why I brought in my buddy, Mr. Marc D'Antonio, the chief video and photography expert at MUFON. You also do Sky Tour live stream as well on YouTube, and then you do that for KGR Radio as well. How you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm amazing. It's very, very good to have you back.
Thanks, man.
You appeared last season, and I took a month off. I filmed a movie, so we kind of got our bearings and our foundation on that. It's a lot more work than I think people think about, but that's while that was going on, this very interesting story kind of started developing about 7 stars that could potentially hold or be housing, I don't know how this would be framed, Dyson spheres. And it got me thinking about astronomy, and it got me thinking about you and having you back on, because I really want to talk about what are the chances that this could be the first glimpses at such a device, or even intelligent life in the universe, and any other astronomical discoveries that have been happening. I know that James Webb has been spitting images out left and right.
Absolutely.
So, and I really wish you got to go watch that episode with Joe Rogan and Terrence Howard. Because I would love to hear what you think about his theory.
I did watch the episode, but I didn't pay attention to, Terrence Howard's take on physics, because I was just thinking, unless he's someone that went to school for it and has a really good foundation, which he doesn't, I would have expected more from him. But he couldn't really lay it out, and Joe Rogan actually kind of disassembled him a little bit. So it was more entertainment than actual learning about new concepts. And then, of course, Neil deGrasse Tyson took a hold of Howard's thesis that he sent him.
Right.
And he took the time to mark it up and go through it very, very diligently, and did like a peer review. Exactly so. And when he did it, he basically concluded with Terrence, no, Terrence, you are wrong, respectfully. Right. All right. And now Terrence Howard doesn't even talk to him. So it comes down to, like, an actor was insulted, and now he doesn't want to talk to someone. If you got an idea and it turns out to be wrong, you learn from it and move forward,
right.
with the new path that you learned. But Howard apparently didn't want to do that, according to Neil anyway. But,
yeah. Well, there's been a follow-up episode. It actually just came out with Terrence Howard, Eric Weinstein, and Joe Rogan. And Eric pretty much tells him that, like, all the physics elements, none of it makes sense. But he does point to his linchpin, and I can't go into the science. That's not my thing. But that episode, I would highly suggest as well to anyone out there. It's just fantastic. But he did give credit to Terrence with an idea, and he said that this is what you need to focus on. All the other stuff, the 1 × 1 = 2, and all the things that you're trying to push on physics, like you're not as informed as you think you are. And I think that's fair. And I think it's a fair assessment from you as well.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I as I said, I'm not as familiar with Terrence Howard's thesis. I haven't read it. I did watch the initial Rogan episode because he said he was going to have him on there talking about this. I was like, okay, well, let's see what this is about. And as I listened to it, I just kept saying, no, that's not, how could that, no, that's not right. I mean, that's
Right.
elementary. And I began to feel that Terrence Howard knows more than he thinks he does, and that he, unfortunately, he has that disease which says, if I know a little, I must know a lot. You know, and he doesn't know a lot, unfortunately, and so he doesn't understand the fundamentals and the foundations for why things are what they are.
Right.
You know, it's like the people that say we never went to the moon. Okay, obviously we went to the moon. I actually lived through that era. I know about it. I had friends who worked in the space program. I knew people in the space program that actually worked on it. I was a kid at the time, frankly. Let's be fair. Okay. But I know that I met them later on in life, and I know that these people were real and that this was a real project.
Yeah.
So, you know, when people come along who were born, you know, yesterday, they look at the history and they say, well, based on the history, I think that's all fake. I think Stanley Kubrick, you weren't even alive when Stanley Kubrick did this supposed thing. So what do you mean you're talking about? You don't know what was in his head. I actually know people that worked with Stanley Kubrick. In fact, one of them was a good friend of mine, Douglas Trumbull. Doug Trumbull, Academy Award winner, okay, he passed away, but Doug and I were working on a UFO detection system. And Doug worked on 2001: A Space Odyssey. He knew Kubrick like this. They were good friends. And so I've been years with Doug. You know, for 10 years, we were actually working on projects together, including the UFO detection system.
Can you, I mean, I don't know if it's like still being developed. Can you tell me more about that?
Oh yeah. It's pretty well known. Doug called it UFOtog. He had a Humvee that he outfitted with telescopes and stuff that could zip around and look in the sky at things. And I came along and said, Doug, wait a minute. Why don't we make a platter that doesn't have any moving parts and that looks statically at the sky, captures data, and then transmits it to a central place? In fact, why don't we do this? Let's set them up in triads in 3-pointed, a unit at each place, like say 2 miles from each other, and make them communicate with each other so that if one sees it, the other one can say, I see it or I don't see it. And if the three of them can agree they all see it, then it's something high in the atmospheres or whatever. And we can then triangulate its location exactly and get its exact speed and know all that data. But if it's something that only one thing sees, then it's local to that object.
Right.
A bug or an aircraft, kind of a thing. So if it's something farther away, low-flying aircraft, if it's something much farther away, then the three objects are going to be interested in it.
That's super. I think that is a fascinating idea. I think.
Yeah. And Avi Loeb at Harvard has the Galileo project, and I've offered a couple of my observatory sites to him for implementation of a Galileo system. And I've talked to his team. I've actually got remote observatories out in the desert. So I run them from Connecticut, where I'm living, and it's 2,600 miles away. I did it last night. I actually ran it last night. In fact, I was just using Photoshop, and if you don't mind me turning the camera, that's a photo we took last night. It doesn't really show well.
Oh, wow.
But it's a beautiful nebula that's in the coming summer sky, and we acquired it in seconds. And I had people from all over the world watching. I had people from China, Australia, Chile, the United States, of course, Bulgaria, other places in Europe, and they're all watching from all over the world. And I'm a professional astronomer. That's what I went to school for. So this is like rolling off a log for me.
Right.
Understanding these nebulae. In fact, I just did a big post on this in Facebook. If anyone wants to see, I'll probably go to, I'll X it out too on X.
Henry, Herbals Biomind. Introducing the ultimate cognitive enhancement solution, Biomind. Today's video is exclusively brought to you by our sponsor, Dentia Herbals. Unlock your brain's full potential with a powerful blend of 9 meticulously selected plants and mushrooms, each backed by peer-reviewed research for their cognitive boosting benefits and safety. Adentia Herbal's formula combines organic full-spectrum powders and potent standardized extracts, ensuring that you receive the optimal concentration of each ingredient's cognitive enhancing compound, carefully selecting the most desirable parts of each plant and mushroom to create a harmonious blend that supports your mental clarity and focus. But that's not all. They infuse each bottle with personal intention of improving the lives, the minds, and overall greatness of each of their customers. Because of their commitment to your well-being every step of the way, you're going to get an exclusive 25% off your order via www.adentiaherbals.com using our code TOTALDISCLOSURE at checkout. All the links will be in the description or on the screen.
Tweeted out on X doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I think it's a post. I think he calls it. It's just a post now. Yeah,
I'll post it on X. Yeah. So anyway, so that's one thing. I'm also in talks with another production company that wants to do another production, and this one will involve objects that are underwater, unknown submerged objects, and
USOs. Yeah,
USOs. And I had the I guess the pleasure of experiencing one of those.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, and that was on a U.S. submarine, and I was on there as a guest, not as a sailor. I later confirmed with someone down in Washington who was on the Joint Chiefs of Staff. I was working for them on a project, and he couldn't tell me anything about the project. He said, I can't talk about that project. I'm sorry. The project for tracking these things.
Yes.
So
the fast mover program.
Yes, exactly. So they observe and report. That's the rule. That's what they've been given. That's their directive. And the reason is because they can't possibly catch them. They can't possibly engage. These things have not engaged with them at all. They've just stayed at a distance, kind of play cat and mouse. So there's something there. What is it? Okay, let's go back. Okay, let's go back. Oh, go forward. Okay, go back. And they would just go anywhere they want, and they'd never get a certain closeness. And in terms of these objects on submarines, there's more than just the account I have been talking about for a decade. Okay.
Yeah, I don't mean to cut you off here.
No, you're right.
Strike me if I'm wrong, but
I will never strike you.
Were you or were you not in Darcy Ware's latest film?
Yeah, that was the film I was in with him. Yeah.
Right. So Tim Gaudet.
Gallaudet, yeah.
I always say
Admiral Gallaudet.
So he's been talking about these programs, and your story, kind of fits that whole puzzle of that fast mover program. And it was really interesting to see Darcy and all Tim or at the Admiral kind of go through it all and kind of because I think people don't realize that these things, they're not just in our skies. They're not just in the atmosphere and space. These things are, they're transmedium.
And the reason they can go there and do this, this comes to the next fundamental discussion that I have been giving around the country for a number of years now, and I've refined it. And it comes from my friend Robert Schroeder, who has a book called